In this video, we're going to share with you our top 10 tricks to building a dream home in the Philippines. We're going to cover everything we've learned over the last 18 weeks, including things like your roof design, the floor plan design, the materials you choose, the plumbing placement, so many great tips and tricks that are going to help you save money when you do your build in the Philippines. Make sure you stick around to the end because we're going to show you the progress from the previous week, where we hope that our dream home in Bohol should be complete. Tip number one, and this might sound really obvious and simple, but know exactly what you want from your house before you meet with the architect. We've worked through many different sketches and designs. We looked at so many different pegs, and before we actually met with an architect, we knew exactly how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, what kind of feel we wanted from the house, what sort of materials we wanted to use. I think that if you go to an architect and you're not really clear on what you want, you're going to go back and forth a lot. You're going to have expensive mistakes made throughout the build where you're going to have to go back and rectify them. So being super clear on what you want from your house before you meet with the architect is going to save you not only time, but money. I actually used a Word document and made little text boxes to figure out where I wanted the rooms before I presented that to the architect. You really need to know what your lifestyle is like and what you want from the house, because the architect that you meet is not going to know how you live your life. For instance, like, do you get up in the morning and have a cup of coffee? Do you need a kitchen island where you'd like to sit? Do you have a space for your coffee machine? All these things, you really have to think about them in advance and get really clear on what you want, because the architect is not going to know your lifestyle. You need to express that to them so they can express that in the house that they design for you. I strongly recommend that you go with an architect contractor, someone that's going to design and build your house for you. I think that if you go with an architect who then hands those plans over to a contractor, no one's really responsible. Well, the architect ultimately is responsible, but is the contractor going to do the job to the same specifications that the architect has? We've made countless changes throughout our build, and having the person that actually designed the house build it, we can make changes on the fly. The other thing is you're only paying one set of professional fees. I feel if you get an architect, you're paying them for the professional fees, not only for the design of the building, but also to project manage and check in. Then you're paying the contractor who's going to put a margin on as well. So if possible, go with an architect contractor. I think it's going to save you money. To start with, we actually got our initial design drafted up by a draftsman. We found out that even though we paid 4,000 pesos for the initial design, his designs weren't able to be used to obtain permits, so we had to go with an architect. So that was kind of a pointless exercise, and we probably didn't need to spend that 4,000 pesos. We got this design I'll show you now, and it wasn't what we wanted, it wasn't functional, so I would recommend go straight to an architect from day one. Choose a smart floor plan. When thinking about the shape of your house, remember the simpler the shape, probably the cheaper it will be to build. When I was speaking to the architect, I found out that the maximum width you can go with a beam is 4 meters without having to add extra supports. So we decided to create our home in sections. Our bedrooms are both 4 meters wide by 5 meters. Living and dining area is 2 lots of 4 meter beams. So we have a pillar in the middle that creates 8 meters by 5 meters for our living area for the lounge and the kitchen. Then on the other end, we've put another bedroom, and we've put pocket gardens and bathrooms which fit underneath extended eaves. So we are creating a box without the need of having hallways down the side with no dead space. And at the rear of the house we have the pocket gardens and the bathrooms which don't need to be fully sealed. So we have half walls which are concrete with bamboo at the top, and it's a much cheaper way of getting a larger sort of floor area without having to seal it in and have that extra cost. Think about your room sizes and the placement of your rooms within your floor plan. We really wanted to minimize having hallways, which I feel is really dead space. For instance, if you look at our first design that we got with the draftsman here, we had a hallway in the middle which would allow us to access the laundry and another bathroom. However, that 6 meter hallway was adding around about 180,000 pesos to the build. See, the initial floor plan with the draftsman was around about 80 square meters. So if you look at that floor plan and then look at the floor plan that we came up by using just a rectangle with 4 meter sections, we feel that we get a lot more space, usable space within that 80 square meters. I would recommend that at your house at the moment, measure out your bedroom and see if that's a good size for you. It might be a little bit too small. You might decide that you'll add an extra meter or 4 meters, which will only add probably about 150,000 pesos, which over the course of the years of your owning the house making it more usable might be worth making that investment.
Choosing the right orientation for your home. When you pay the deposit with the architect, they should go and do a site visit to determine the best place to put your house on the lot. And there's a few things that they need to consider. The first one being making sure that they put it at the highest point of the lot. Flooding is quite common here in the Philippines, so you want to make sure that your house is elevated so you avoid getting flood water in your home. Secondly, you want to position the house to take advantage of natural breezes so it can flow through the home, reducing the cost for air conditioning and other means of cooling the home. It's also important to place windows and vents at strategic areas of the home to allow that air to flow through. You'll also want to try and minimize direct sunlight exposure in your living areas. So when you're at the site with your architect, have a look at where the sun rises, have a look at the trees surrounding your house, remove the ones which could potentially fall on the home, but keep as many as you can for shade. It will reduce the cost of trying to keep your house cool. You might want to also consider extending your eaves like we did. We went to a full 1.35 meter overhang to provide more shade. Look at tinting your windows to reduce the heat, and maybe some other external shade structures such as gazebos. If you are considering having solar, this is one of the considerations you'll have to make when choosing the orientation of your home. Obviously, you want to have the solar panels on the side of the house that receives the most sun, and if your house is in a shady area, then obviously you're going to generate less electricity.
Hello, me again, filming from another location in the attempt to hold your attention while I indulge in a little bit of shameless self-promotion. You see, I've got a couple of quick favors to ask of you. Firstly, if you're enjoying the video and you're getting some benefit from these tips, you know someone else that might benefit as well, please share it with them. Secondly, they do take quite a lot of time and energy to create, so I'd love it if I could just ask for a little bit of your energy to click your mouse button twice and hit the like and the subscribe button. If you could do that for me, head over to the website corellahomestead.com, go to the bottom of the page, enter your details, and I will send you a document which outlines everything that I've discussed in this video plus more, and that will go to your inbox. Come on, be a dear. It's not like I'm asking you to eat the arse end of a rhino. Anyway, back to the tips.
Tip number 4, efficient plumbing placement. You have no idea how many times I had to re-record that. I really have. This is something which I never would have thought of, but the place that you put your plumbing can significantly affect the cost and the function of your home. If you look at the original plan that we had with the draftsman, we had a bathroom in the center of the house. Now imagine something went wrong with some of the plumbing. You'd have to cut into the concrete to access the pipes. So putting all your plumbing on one wall is going to save you a lot of money, but it's not only going to save you money, but make it easier if anything goes wrong. In our house, we have all the plumbing, and you can see from this floor plan here, along the rear wall, and our septic system is at the back. We have one line of plumbing which goes one way, so if anything happens, we can flush it out just down one way, and if anything breaks, we can access it very easily. So choose your plumbing wisely, and try and group all your wet areas together so you have one line. Wiring placement and power points. Now think about all the appliances you use from day to day. Write them all down on a piece of paper and think about where you're going to be using the most in your home. This will affect where you choose to put the power points. If you have a lot of foreign appliances like me, you might want to choose to put international plugs throughout your home. Also think about the placement of your light switches and light cabling. For us, we decided we don't want bedside lamps, so we're going to have pendant lamps coming down the sides above our bedside tables. That sort of thing can be done much cheaper if you do it when you're constructing. If you do it afterwards and have to chip through cement to run cabling, it's going to be a lot more expensive. Sometimes I found it quite hard to actually visualize exactly where we wanted everything. So we did have quite a few discussions with our architect, and through those discussions, we're able to choose where we put the power points. You know, this is your opportunity to get the home that you want. I think about when I stay in hotels, the little touches that I like the little pendant lights that hang above the bedside table so you don't have a clunky lamp that you knock over in the middle of the night when you're trying to pick up your phone. And little things like USB ports in the power points, all those little touches which I enjoy when I go to a good hotel, that I can incorporate into my home. So much easier to do it as you're building as opposed to doing it after. Go one level. If you have the space, I really recommend keeping your house to just one story. As soon as you add another story, you have to reinforce the foundation and structure on the bottom floor, which significantly increases the costs. Also, you kind of future-proof the house so you don't have issues when you are in your later years. And let's face it, a lot of people coming to the Philippines are here to retire and probably don't want to be seeing stairs in the next 5 to 10 years. So keep it to one level if you can. I think it's a great way of keeping the costs down and future-proofing your home.
Tip number 7 is choose the right roof design for your build. The roof is going to be one of the most expensive parts of your house. And the type of roof that you choose is not only going to affect the price, but the way that the air flows and escapes the building. Our roof is made of pressed tin. It looks like a clay tile, but it's much cheaper and versatile and much lighter as well. People asked us why we went with such high ceilings. They asked us why we didn't put in a false ceiling and a loft. There's a few different reasons for it. First of all, we wanted the high ceilings in the living areas because we don't have air conditioning. It helps the hot air escape and just keeps the place a little bit cooler. It's much better for a tropical climate. We didn't use a loft because lowering the ceiling obviously is going to make the heat stay in the building much more, but in the bedrooms we did put in a false ceiling because we have air conditioning in there and it's going to help us keep the rooms cooler without having to have a much larger air conditioning unit. We decided not to have storage in the loft space because basically when we're laying in bed we didn't want to look up and see a hatch which we would have needed to access that space. We have plenty of other storage space in the house. So our roof is 5.7 meters in the middle at the pitch and comes down to 3 meters on the sides. Some people also asked why we didn't go with a concrete roof on top, which would be much safer for typhoons. The house was built to the specification of the structural engineer, and they do look at things like historical things like what typhoons have come through, and it is built to withstand those kind of winds and that sort of thing. But yeah, having a concrete roof would have been nice so we could have had a terrace up there and we could have sat up there. But again, it's going to lower the roof height and make it much hotter and harder to pull down, which is going to increase your expenses over time. The cheapest type of roof to install is a monoslope, so just one sloping level roof. But I believe a gable style roof or a pitched roof is much better looking, more functional for letting the air escape, and is only slightly more expensive. So I think I would go with what we've done with the pitch style roof. Tip number 8 is to be smart about how you design your outdoor spaces. I think a lot of people move to the Philippines because they come from countries that probably have slightly shitty weather. It's so nice to be able to live outside and enjoy the outside spaces. So when you are designing your house, design outdoor terraces or decks that you can flow from your living areas and increase the usable space of your home without increasing the cost that much. For us, we've increased our livable space by pretty much double. So our house is 80 square meters internal. We have, as we said before, about the pocket gardens and the bathrooms, which is adding another 32 square meters, but not enclosed and not costing us the same as what the internal spaces would. And then we've replicated the entire 80 square meters of the house with a terrace at the front. So an 80 square meter terrace, which we can walk off the bedrooms or the living areas. We've also incorporated a pool into that. If you are going to build a pool, it is really important to do it at the time, if the budget allows, that you do your building, because they're going to have to excavate that area to build the terrace. So it's just a matter of framing up the pool, and it was so much cheaper to do it at the time of building. So if you can, if the budget allows, definitely recommend doing things like the pool and even shade structures so they can build it into the foundation when you do your build. Just for reference, I think it costed about 440,000 pesos for the 80 square meter terrace with the pool, with the pump, the filter, everything. So the house cost is obviously significantly much higher, but now we have that huge amount of area that we can enjoy, having a dining table, some umbrellas out there. So I think it's definitely worth looking at doing decks or outdoor terraces extending from your living areas. Tip number 9 is to be smart with your material choices and don't be scared to compare costs. Now the prices can vary significantly from one shop to another. For instance, we found a tile that we really liked at a popular hardware store. It's 1,220 pesos per square meter, which I thought was pretty good compared to Australian prices. Our architect Mond, he took us to another store and found exactly the same tile for 640 pesos per square meter. He also found some basins for the bathroom for 1,100 pesos per basin. We found previous ones which we thought were great value at 2,800. So just by shopping around a little bit, you can save yourself a lot of money. If you want to achieve a premium look, please go with neutral colors and just highlight colors in your house through furniture and accessories. I see so many people getting really busy colored tiles which don't really match the decor. So go with neutral earthy tones and just try and highlight areas of your house with pops of color through accessories or furniture. Buy local. Locally sourced materials are going to be cheaper than imported ones. Things like tiles, which are probably not as good quality as imported tiles, but I think if they're installed correctly, you shouldn't have any issues. And if you can afford imported tiles, then what are you doing watching this video? Look online. I was scared to buy stuff online, but our architect Raymond has bought fixtures such as the faucet and the shower fixtures from Shopee and Lazada. They arrived, we checked the quality, and they seem really, really good. Just factor in shipping costs when you are looking at the prices. Another way you can save costs is to go with plain polished concrete on your countertops and floors, saving on tiles and labor. Although it is quite tedious to polish, as we found with a 4-inch grinding disc. I think it is around about 1,200 pesos per square meter if you get a professional company to come in and they have a much larger disc, and it would be faster. But I think it took maybe 5 days for one of the workers to grind the floor in each bedroom. But if you look at their daily wage cost of 600 pesos and times that by 5, it's way cheaper than getting a company to do it for 1,200. But you will save money by going with concrete, bench tops and floors. The paint you use can make your place look premium without adding a premium cost. So for instance, one of our walls, we're doing a slight lime wash, which is going to give a rendered concrete look to the wall, except without having to pay for the full rendering, which is going to be much cheaper. Keep your paint colors neutral. Again, highlight colors in your house with furniture and accessories. And my final tip is, if you can't afford to do a premium wall of tiles, buy a small amount and make it a feature. You can make your place look really premium by just highlighting areas with premium products. And my 10th and final tip is to invest in energy efficient measures for long-term savings. While this video is about saving money, I do feel that if the budget allows, spending a little bit more when you're building is going to save you a heap of money over the course of time that you're living in your dream home. For example, a solar setup will save you a ton of money over the years. We have invested 280,000 pesos in installing a 6.3 kilowatt solar system. So that's 12 550 watt panels on the roof. We've got a 10 kilowatt battery and a 6 kilowatt inverter. So that should be enough to run a aircon, refrigerators, lights, everything overnight just on batteries alone. So during the day, the solar will power everything in the home, plus charge the batteries, and then we will not have to pay any power bills. And also the other great thing is the Philippines is very renowned for brownouts, which can be very frustrating, but if we have a battery pack backup, we won't experience any brownouts. So that is 280,000 pesos. I figure with a 7,000 peso bill per month, which is what I'm expecting would be for that house, based on where we're living at the moment, it should pay for itself in 3.3 years. So if you can afford to do it when you're building, it will be cheaper because your ceiling will be exposed. You can run cables, do it when you're building if you can. Another thing you might want to invest in is extra rainwater collection tanks. Our cistern holds around 6,000 litres of rainwater, which comes off the roof and through a pipe and into the tank. On the other side of the cistern, there is another 6,000 litres, which is town water, and that is constantly pumped in. We want to try and minimize the amount of water we're using from the town water supply, so using predominantly the rainwater first. We're also adding a 1,500 litre tank on the back, which is quite expensive, 17,000 pesos for a 1,500 litre tank. Much more expensive than Australia, but I think it's a wise investment for the future. We'll probably just use that one to water gardens, but it will save us money on water bills. When you're buying your appliances for the house, look at the energy efficiency ratings and also other things which I found quite interesting, Wi-Fi connected devices such as air conditioning units, which you can control from your phone and set on timers. We actually picked up 3 air conditioning units from Cebu and had them shipped over to Bohol, and they were only 18,000 pesos for 1 horsepower unit each. We can connect it to our Google Home and we can turn them on and off from wherever we are in the world. but we're thinking it might be quite handy when we are coming home to a hot house. We can turn on the air conditioning units in advance. But that will also save you a lot of money in the long run. Go for inverter brands with inverters will reduce your overall cost of your electricity.
Let's take a look at this week's update.
We left the city for a road unknown, chasing dreams we could call our own, with nothing but hope and each other's hand. We took a leap and made our stand. The future's unwritten, but our hearts believe in a simple life where we're free to breathe. We're building a home where the quiet speaks, where the fields are wide and the rivers meet, growing our food and growing our hearts, a place for love where life can start.
It's February 28th. It's our last morning in Borneo before we head back to the Philippines today. As you can see from the footage that Monda sent, the house is looking fantastic. The kitchen benches that he decided to demolish and recreate, he's super happy with them, and from the videos they look amazing, super clean lines. I think it was definitely worth doing. Cabinetry has taken a little bit longer than they expected. The corners apparently are pretty tricky. They're doing everything from scratch, no prefabricated stuff in there. But everything is pretty much on track to be finished by next week. So yes, we didn't quite finish by February 26th, which is my birthday, but we're on holiday and we're not there to see it. We're back in Bohol next week on the 6th of March. We'll be giving you a full update, full video of the whole house, which by then I've been told by Mon will be completely done. The guest house won't be too far behind. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found some value in the tips that we've shared today. Share it with someone that you think might also benefit. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that sort of shit. From Borneo, we'll see you in the next video. Take care. All this talk about tips has reminded me of a joke. What did the male leper say to the prostitute? Keep the tip. You're welcome.